Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech Podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech Podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by the blog at classtechtips.com. If you're looking for wintertime activities or ways to make connections between the season and what you're teaching, then head over to the blog page of classtechtips.com. You'll find a search bar where you can type in keywords like winter, Thanksgiving, or bulletin board ideas. You name it. So head over to classtechtips.com/blog and use the search bar to find over 1,000 blog posts and podcast episodes full of ideas to try. This week's episode is titled Tips for Making Classroom Activities for Winter. And we're going to look at some AI connections and how you can make some classroom activities for this season and use AI to help out. Now, there are lots of ways that educators can use AI. One of my favorites is to brainstorm and strengthen classroom activities. And so as we are making our way into this winter season, this is a November episode and it's already hit that freezing mark, even just a little over maybe 2 days so far here in New Jersey. We are always thinking of ways to be thematic or seasonal when planning for classroom instruction. And if winter is a theme that you are exploring or a teacher you're coaching is exploring, today's episode is for you. So we're going to look at how you could use a chatbot or maybe even an AI-powered Chrome extension. There's oodles of tools out there right now to gather ideas and create custom winter activities. So this could be everything from generating festive music to creating visuals. There are oodles of ways to bring the winter seasons into your lessons in all sorts of subject areas. So we're going to jump into this topic with a handful of favorite ideas. And I really do believe that this can help you save some time too when you're leveraging those AI tools, that is. So we're going to look at some tools, some strategies, pairing them together. And even if you're catching this episode in a warmer place than where I am recording it, you might still lean into the themes of the season. And if you are someplace else, right, or you are in a different time listening to this, maybe it is spring by the time you catch this episode, I think you can extrapolate a bit and make some connections to really any time of year. So let's jump into some tips for making classroom activities for winter. From chatbots like ChatGPT to image generation tools like Adobe Firefly, AI tools can save you lots of time. So as we think about connecting lessons to winter themes, we are going to leverage a handful of different tools. So the first tip on the list is to take a lesson you already have and connect it to a winter theme. You can customize lesson plans with the help of AI to reflect some different themes of wintertime. For example, you could use a chatbot like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude to make subjects like history or science really relevant to the current season. How would this work? Well, you could try a prompt like, I am teaching topic to a group of grade level students. I want to connect this topic to the winter season. Give me 5 ideas on how this topic connects to winter. So by putting in what you're teaching and then some context like grade level, and then saying your goal, right, of connecting to wintertime, you can make that connection. Next step is to find some winter emojis. I love emojifinder.com. I did a post on the blog earlier this fall all about websites where you can find emojis, but it can definitely take up some time searching for perfect emojis. So if you are writing a class newsletter or trying to take a winter spin on some student assignments, you might want to add some winter themed emojis. So you can jump into a chatbot like Gemini or ChatGPT and say, give me 10 winter themed emojis, and it will give you as many as you asked for. Or you could say, here is a list of resources I'm going to share with students. You paste in the list, and then you say, add 1 winter emoji to each line. So you can either start from scratch looking for some emojis or give that chatbot some of your content and ask for it to place some winter themed emojis right in there. The first 2 tips here use chatbots. The next one is a musical AI connection. So you can create some wintry music using AI-powered tools. I also did a post on my blog this year with some audio tools like Loudly, Music FX, Suno are 3 of them. And you can ask students to guess the prompt of a piece of music that you've generated with AI. So a great way to kind of set a wintry mood in the classroom, if you will. So for example, you can open up that AI music tool like Loudly or Suno, type in your prompt, play that for students, and then ask them to guess the wintry prompt that you put together. Next up is connected to vocab or winter themed vocabulary. And so you can do all sorts of things with vocab instruction. You might have caught the podcast episode I did on how to use our AI to teach vocab. That was episode number 269 for that one. I also did a post on Edutopia with some vocab and AI connections. And since we know that visual learning is so powerful, you could use AI generated images to help explain new vocabulary with a wintry twist. So imagine you're using Adobe Firefly. That's one of my favorites. I've done some work with the Adobe education team, so it tends to be my go-to. And you open up that tool and you try a prompt to help bring a vocab word to life. Say you're teaching different types of landforms, and volcano is one of the words, but you want to have a wintry spin. You could type in a prompt to create an image that says a dormant volcano covered in snow. And so that is a way that you could do it so that you have the vocab word with a wintry connection. Next up on the list is to generate some winter stories. You can have AI craft short winter tales that students can read. You could use a chatbot like Gemini or ChatGPT to create thematic leveled passages to share with your students. Or you might use a tool like Diffit, which allows you to create passages also. It's not going to be perfect, right? But it will give you a great starting point for you to tweak and make things just the right fit for your group of students. You might also decide to create some winter-themed readers theater. Readers theater activities are ones where kids can take on a role and read aloud a passage together. And these can be hard to find, especially if you're looking for something really specific, like on a certain topic or with a certain set of vocab words. And you can use a chatbot, maybe ChatGPT, to create a custom readers theater to share with your students. A great way for them to act out different things, connect back to your literacy and vocab goals, and have a wintertime connection. Another way to make some classroom activities for winter is to use a chatbot to find some fun facts about winter. Now, during the winter season, you might decide to start each day by sharing a fun fact about winter. And you could use a chatbot to make a list of fun facts to share with your students. Although you might find a blog post that has some fun facts, by using a chatbot, you can get really specific and say, give fun winter facts about, and then maybe a certain animal habitat, or for a certain grade level, or connected to a unit of study you're in the middle in. So you can get really specific with what types of facts you want it to generate. Now, of course, if you're doing something that you won't be able to fact check yourself, like you're not maybe a content expert in each little thing, you'll probably want to do a quick Google search for anything that might seem a little funky, just to make sure all of your facts are correct and you didn't get any chatbot hallucinations in there. Now, you might also decide to make some classroom activities for winter that connect to creative writing. You might even share some creative writing with students, like a poem that you've written yourself, or you might need a little help doing this or inspiring students, and you might go to an image generation tool, make some winter themed images, maybe use Canva's Magic Media tool or Adobe Firefly again. And then you can ask students to choose maybe one image of a collection you've made and use it as inspiration for a poem. This is a great way to introduce AI-generated images to kids, even if you're not making them with them. Maybe you've made a couple for them to choose from. So it might spark a conversation about AI and evaluating content. And at the same time, you can bring in a creative writing project for kids too. So great way to use some AI-powered tools to make some winter connections. So on our list of tips for making classroom activities for winters, we have using chatbots to connect to different winter themes. So making that connection between what you're teaching and wintertime. Quickly finding some winter emojis that connect to a list, a resource, or just a bunch that you can use any way you want. Creating some wintry music using AI tools like Suno or Loudly. Gathering some winter-themed vocab images to help bring vocabulary to life. Generating some winter stories and reading passages, or maybe even a reader's theater, and then sharing some fun facts you've gathered about winter that will resonate with your group of students. Oops, and one more, that winter poetry, inspiring students with some images to have them write their own thematic seasonal poems. So using AI to support your instructional planning can save you oodles of time this year. But of course, you need your expertise in order to even know what to do, right, with these different tools. So using chatbots like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or some of the other AI-powered tools allow you to be in the driver's seat, thinking of what you want to do with your group of students, and then getting some extra help to make this happen. If you're looking for some more in-depth strategies and some prompts for chatbots, I've got oodles of them in my new edition, the second edition of my book, EdTech Essentials. You can find that on my blog or find the free study guide by going to classtechtips.com/books. And if you're searching for it on Amazon, I always like to give the reminder that there are two Monica Burnses. One is me. You'll see EdTech Essentials, and another writes a different genre of books that are also on Amazon. So hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference if you go poking around and looking for it there. So let's make this EdTech easy with a few key points from today's episode. Use AI chatbots to brainstorm winter-themed lessons and generate content. Leverage AI image generators to create visuals that enhance winter-related learning. Incorporate winter-themed emojis and music into classroom activities. Explore AI-powered tools to create winter-focused vocab activities and readers' theaters. Remember, you can find the show notes and full list of resources from today's episode by heading to classtechtips.com/podcast and finding today's episode, number 295. This episode is sponsored by the blog at classtechtips.com. If you're looking for wintertime activities or ways to make connections between the season and what you're teaching, then head over to the blog page of classtechtips.com. You'll find a search bar where you can type in keywords like winter, Thanksgiving, or bulletin board ideas. You name it. So head over to classtechtips.com/blog and use the search bar to find over 1,000 blog posts and podcast episodes full of ideas to try. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.